Okay, COVID-19 pandemic chronology video for today, Wednesday, 7 December 2022. My pandemic update for the day is yesterday was successful, so this is day 13 of a 2 to 3 week pandemic weight regulation plan and day 10 on the Tanis diet with PMS modifications. And I have been successful, meaning I have achieved my calorie and exercise goals for each day thus far. And so I am thinking of ending, so I said 2 to 3 week plan, but I didn't have an exact number of days in mind, except for I wanted at least 14 days, so 14 or more days on the Tanis diet with PMS modifications, documenting it here, sharing it with it, seeing if I publish it this way. Can I make it? Or opening it up on video and publishing it same day and that kind of stuff. So I'm thinking, so I tentatively have set, a deadline. So the 2 to 3 week plan, I think, is going to be 17 days, and which would make the streak on the Tanis diet with PMS modifications that today is day 10 of, would end on, my last day on it would be Sunday, which, let me take a look at that. That Sunday is the 11th of December 2022. That would be day 14, so the last day, achieve that day, and then on day 14 on the Tanis diet with PMS modifications, which would be day 17 of this 2 to 3 week plan. So 2 weeks is 14 days, 3 weeks is 21 days, so it's somewhere in between, towards the middle between those two, so approximately 2.5 weeks. And so then Monday, 12 December 2022, I would be off this 2 to 3 week pandemic weight regulation plan and just kind of making it through the rest of the year, kind of eating what I want, but also being like not gaining too much weight, that kind of normal fluctuations, but also it's holiday fluctuations. So normal plus holiday fluctuations to the end of the year. And then maybe doing something like this again for the first 14 days or something like that of 2023. We'll see. If this is successful, I might try something like that. And then, so that's tentatively the plan for like when I'm going to end. Why off on Monday? Because on Monday, so I made an event page, wrote the initial article, and I'm going to write on contribute to articles for swimmers for an upcoming World Swimming Championships in December in Melbourne, Australia. That was originally scheduled for Kazan, Russia, and then got relocated this year. And so that starts on 13 December 2022. However, Australia, and specifically Melbourne, Australia, it's like tomorrow and 4 hours behind compared to my time zone. So really, this competition that starts 13 December 2022 in Australia starts, at 4 p.m. on Monday, 12 December 2022 here, which means I need to be writing. And so I was like, originally I was like, oh, I'll do this for like at least 14 days, the Tanis diet streak with PMS modifications. And then I was like looking at it and like looking at the time zones, and I was like, okay, so it might be 14 days exactly. Because I need to be writing about the prelims heats the day before the competition here. So like it'll be 12, like I think when I looked it up, it was like 4 p.m. My time is 11 a.m. the next day where the competition is being held. So I'm like, okay, go get so that's kind of the plan. I might do a sweet eats video before it starts, is kind of like a quick get something kind of sweet, celebrate making it 14, 17 days, that kind of thing. But that's tomorrow's talking point. I also want to, so that's the Tanis diet with PMS modifications. For those who are currently trying out the Tanis diet or Tanis diet with PMS modifications, what is the biggest difference between the two? The calories and the exercise are approximately the same. However, the single biggest difference between the two diets is the distribution of calories. So calories during the week are lower on the Tanis diet. However, every 2 weeks there is a splurge day where one gets to eat a bunch of food. versus on the Tanis diet with PMS modifications, it's approximately the same amount of calories, approximately the same exercise. However, there is no splurge day. So if one's looking to not have like cheat days or splurge days and just have like some sort of consistent calorie cap that doesn't fluctuate too much, which is what I use for maintenance, in my life, I tend not to be the splurge or cheat day person. I don't know if I've ever done a cheat day in my life, kind of thing. So for me, yeah, that's the biggest difference. And for those who are like, today's day one or tomorrow's day one of either of these diets, the Tanis diet or Tanis diet with PMS modifications, I have found it takes about 3 or 4 days to fully settle into both of the diets. So for those that are interested. So that's my big pandemic weight regulation check-in. My other pandemic update for the day, which is coming up because it's holiday season, is visiting family during the pandemic. So I have visited family, especially like my uncle who lives in Central Washington with his wife, and my grandma Connie who lives in Island County, Oak Harbor, Washington State, so north, about an 1.5 to 2 hour drive. So I visited them a lot more than I had before the pandemic. However, I had been visiting my grandma Connie before the pandemic. I had not even been to Kashmir once to see my uncle and his wife once they moved there. So that was it was my first time going over, and my first time going to see them in Kashmir, which is the name of the city where they live. I took the masks that my mom made for them. So it was because there was a shutdown and everybody was required to wear masks and they couldn't get masks anywhere. So my mom made masks and I drove them over to them so they had masks they could wear and go out in public stuff, that kind of thing. So my travel has been more. So there's been more travel I've done to see my family, as in overnight visits. And the duration I've spent in both of those places has been longer. I think I've seen my aunt less. So my Aunt Annette, she lives in Fremont, which is the neighborhood in Seattle. I think I've actually, we tried to start going to museums, and we went to like the Burke Museum on 20 January 2020 or 21 January 2020 or something like that. And that was like the day or the day before the first case of the COVID-19, then Wuhan coronavirus, arrived in the state. So like we were gonna have this, we were gonna go to a bunch of museums and stuff, and then everything got shut down, and that plan literally like got sideswiped the day we started it, or like the day after. It was like, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Oh no, I think it was day of, because we talked about it. I think I already made a video on this too. It was like, well, I got the news, and then we were going out, and we got burger at Burger Master and went to the Burke Museum and stuff, and that was like, are we taking this seriously yet? Is this going to be a pandemic? So I think I've actually covered that in a video. But, so it's not for a lack of trying with my aunt. And I've seen her at holidays in special occasions and stuff more than I had been when I had not been living here. So it's the most I've seen her in like a decade. However, in high school and stuff, we did make a point of going to movies together and stuff like that. So for the like, just kind of like her and I, not necessarily with family, I think it's actually been potentially less than when I was living at home before, but more than when I was in college, kind of thing. But yes, it has at least partially been due to the pandemic, because my aunt and my step aunt and uncle in Central Washington travel a bunch because they're part of like, they're motorcyclists, and they are very into motorcycle culture, and so they're traveling like the vast majority of the year. So it's like really hard to actually find time to go see them. And a bunch of their motorcycle stuff wasn't going on during the pandemic. So I could actually go and spend, 3 or 4 days with them, whereas I could not in the past because they wouldn't have even been there. And then with my grandma Connie, she hasn't been able to see a bunch of her friends because of the pandemic. So she's, so I've seen her more too, just to kind of like, it's fun to see her. So yeah, so that's kind of my other update, and it comes up because it's the holiday season and thinking of, maybe I'll see, when's the next time I'm going to those places? I don't know. But keeping on good terms enough so that I can go and still visit and stuff. And so far as I know, I'm actually on good terms with all the family. So that's good. But yeah, visiting family during the pandemic, it has been more frequent and longer duration. I will go to their house and spend an overnight kind of thing. More than one night. Like, I think it was like 8 days with my grandma one time, which was very cool, actually. So thankful for the pandemic in the sense of, I don't know if that would have happened without the pandemic. But it did happen, and it happened because of the pandemic. So I can thank the pandemic for that in the sense of I got to see my family more, at least as an initial thing. So that's kind of cool, I think, on some level, at least, in terms of enjoying time with my family. Big plus.